morning. Looks like you survived, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we only got 1.5 inches of rain in my house on Thursday, but it was fun to watch those trees.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. And we were sitting on our back porch and Pam's praying, Lord, if they fall on the golf course. And we'll work with that there. So anyway, good to see y'all here. I guess if you're garnet, you barely pulled it out yesterday. And if you're orange, you're going, ooh. That was a test when we came through there. So, all right, just a few little highlights in here. Tomorrow we'll be having the men's breakfast at Cracker Barrel. So just be there 8:30, and then we're going to be talking about Jamie Chapman offering, and that's our goal is $500 to support different missions around the state of South Carolina. And then we have a few more positions open for this year as far as serving on different committees. So if you would see Karen or anybody else listed there, if you would like to volunteer for one of those positions, please feel free to do that. And just thank you for being here today. And we're going to stand. We're going to go to the Lord in worship. And you have an insert in your bulletin, number 75. Right there in your bulletin. You stand up. We're going to sing this one as our call to worship. All of us are going to sing today, okay? Citizen of Tanzania born there, you have to have a residence permit, which allows you to be in the country. And you also have to have a work permit, which is giving you permission to work. And so all of these, for her, have been coming due usually every 2 years now. And she's under the grace period, but on Tuesday, September 10, the grace period is finished. And so now, it gets a little iffy after that time because everything has been submitted. Everything is in the hands of government officials. But as you know, most governments are very efficient and get things done even beforehand. Yeah, we need to have a little more laughter. And we worked with this for 20 years, and we understand. But for Meg, Dr. Meg being there first time, it can be a little intimidating. And so I don't think the government will do anything like kick her out of the country. But they'll take their time. So let's just pray for her right now that will just come through on Tuesday. She'll have her paperwork. They'll call her into immigration and say, bring your passport. We're going to put all this in your passport and everything will be done. Okay? So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we thank you so much that this past week we faced some situations and weather. And I thank you that for what we didn't get. And I thank you for that you certainly spared us. But I ask and pray now for the people, especially along the coast and in the Bahamas especially, who are very much got a lot of this. That you would send the help that they need, and that you would help them in this time of desperation and despair, that you would give them hope and assurance, especially as people go in there. And I know many organizations that are basically just waiting to get the okay to go in. And I thank you for those. And so I ask you also for Dr. Meg today, that as she has all these applications in for the work permit, the residence permit, I ask that you would work through those people in those offices And I ask you and really beg you, and then also thank you, that she'll have all these things in hand by September 10th, which is Tuesday. Or that she'll at least have assurances that it's being done, and that she won't have to stress about the situation about being there. And I thank you that you are working, because you are using her in that place to minister to people mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And I ask that you would continue to do that. Obviously, the enemy is fighting this. She is doing a good job serving you, and you are working through her. And I ask that you would just stop the workers of darkness who are trying to do all these things and inhibit all these things. And that you would give her what she needs to continue to serve you in that place. Thank you for doing that. And we'll just get to hear great things about how you work this out. In your name I pray. Amen. Stay standing. We're going to sing number 208. 208. Love's divine, all loves excelling. 208. In the Bridge in Bluffton, South Carolina, and that their church is working with people, basically, with the good news of Jesus by meeting tangible physical needs in their community. They're going in, they're checking it out. What can we do to physically help people? And through that bridge, obviously the bridge, that's the bridge that they use to minister to the people spiritually also. And so that's in Bluffton, South Carolina. And then also Scott Davis, who is in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. They are Calvary, a relevant community church. And what this is, that's an interesting name, isn't it? Calvary, a relevant community church. That's a mouthful. Where do you go, church? Calvary, a relevant community church. And basically, it was two churches. It was a 92-year-old church, Calvary Baptist Church, and a new church start. They looked at different situations and they said, you know what? We would be better working together. And so these two churches joined together and they're working in Boiling Springs area to take the gospel to different people that may be neglected or may not have an opportunity otherwise. And so, for the Bridge in Bluffton, South Carolina, and for Calvary Relevant Church and Community Church in Boiling Springs, that's where part of our money is going, is to help those two church starts and those people there. And they're depending on the Janie Chapman, South Carolina state offering, to continue on in ministry to help these people who they're ministering to. So let's pray for them and our goal is $500. I think we already have about $97 already, and that'll be through September 30th. We'll be taking that off. So Father, we thank you so much for the Bridge Church in Bluffton and the Calvary Relevant Community Church in Boiling Springs. New churches and then a combination in Boiling Springs of an older church and a younger church, reaching people in different ways who might not otherwise be reached or maybe overlooked. Thank you that we can have a part in this by giving and praying for these different ministries in our state to continue to reach the people who are here and the ones who are coming in. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, if you stand, please. Offertory hymn is number 282. Living for Jesus, number 282. Stand if you can. If you can't, that's all right. Number 282. Living for Jesus. We'll sing the first and the last verses on this. Ushers will come on the last verse. anybody else that feels like a lawyer. Hi, guys. Yeah, got all kinds of neat stuff. I brought something with me today, too. There it is. Hear that? This is my bank. This is what I put my change in. It's a frog. All right, see, it's a green. Can y'all see it now? Green frog. It has some money in it. And so, I put all my change in there. And I put it all in there, and then eventually I take it out and roll. No, y'all even know what rolling money is. You know what rolling money is? You put it in those little rolls. Well, that's what I do with it. And I don't have to break this one. You have to buy banks, and you have to take a hammer and break it so you can get all the money out of it. But this one has a neat thing on the bottom. You just unscrew it. You can almost get the money out of it. All right. So, now whenever I want to go buy something, I have to make sure I have enough money. Sometimes I'll have to go into my frog and I'll have to shake the money out and make sure I have enough money to buy something. I might buy something that's $5 and I'll shake out the money and it'll be, I only have $4.75. Can I go buy it? No, I can't go buy it because I only have $4.75 and it's $5. And I can't go to my mom and dad and ask because they're in North Charleston. And if I ask them for a quarter, they laugh. They say, why do you need a quarter? So you can ask your mom and dad. They probably won't give you a quarter either, maybe. So anyway. So, Jesus told us a story. And I have to count the cost. If you're going to buy something, you have to know how much it costs. And you have to see if you got enough money to buy it. And so Jesus told a story one time. And he said, following me, he said, you have to be aware. You have to know. He said, following me is like, you have to count the cost. What he was saying is, you have to know that it's important to follow me, but it's not something you just, I think I'll do that, I think I won't do that. Because it takes some work to follow Jesus. Not bad work, but it takes some work. So Jesus told us, he said, you need to be like don't be like the guy who said, I'm going to go build this big house. And then he builds it, and then halfway through he goes, oh, I ran out of money. What am I going to do now? Live in half a house? Can you imagine that? Y'all lived in half of your house? You would have to sleep in the bathroom. Right? In the tub. Do you sleep in the tub? No? Okay. All right. Just checking. But you have to maybe sleep in the tub. Half your house was not finished, and that would be a good thing. And Jesus said also, following me is like this king, and maybe he's going to go out and fight another king. And the other king has an army with 20,000 soldiers, and he only has an army of 10,000. He goes, they got 20,000, I have 10,000. So he said, I think I better go talk to them and see what we can do instead of fighting. We can make some peace, and make some agreements. And so following Jesus is like that. We need to count the cost. In other words, be aware that Jesus wants us to follow him. And that there are some, work involved in different things. But he wants us to be aware of that so we won't get in there and say, hey, wait a minute, you tell me everything. And so we have to count the cost. Just like I had to count my money in my frog bank. You don't have a frog bank. You have a piggy bank? You do? Actual piggies. Does it look like a pig? It does? Okay. All right. Caitlin has a piggy bank. Her pig looks like Batman. So she has a bat pig bank. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So anyway, we count the cost. We know what it's like to follow Jesus. We know that there's some things involved. It's some work, just like you guys have school. You have a monkey piggy bank? Does it make noise? No? Is it big? How big is it? Okay, all right. Does it have money in it? You said yes and you said no. Oh, you didn't put money in it, but you put money in it. Okay. All right. Now let's put money in it. Oh, you have money in your piggy bank. Okay. schoolwork. When you go to school, you have schoolwork, but that helps you to be a better student and to go to the next grade. When we follow Jesus, we have to count the cost, know that it takes work. Okay? All right, so let's pray. Lord, we thank you so much that we can count the cost. And we know that to follow you, it does require some effort, but the effort is well worth doing it because we're serving you. And that one day when we get to see you, hopefully you'll say that you have done well. And that that's the words we want to hear, is that we've done a good job for you. In your name I pray. Amen. Okay, guys, come and get these. And I brought some cookies that were baked by elves. Yeah, they were baked by elves. That's what it says. So, all right, there you go, guys. Thank you very much. And I was privileged the other day. I got to meet their dog. They have a dog, a little white poodle named Pebbles. And actually it was Josh and Amanda's experiment. If they could take care of the dog, they knew they could have kids. And so...
Oh, dogs are so much easier.
I know. But anyway, I got to meet Pebbles the other day. That was fun, you know, and they told me, you know, Pebbles, well, just doesn't... Anyway, she ran right up to me. I mean, she licked my hand, and I mean, just it was fun. It was just fun. Anyway. So, if you're waiting for special music, I ain't it. But we'll sing a little bit. Remember the one I sang for you the other day in Swahili?
No.
Well, I'm going to sing one for you in Maasai today. Okay? And it's not hard. And this is a song that they usually would sing either before prayer or before somebody would speak. And you're not going to have any clue what it says. There's only 2 words. And you probably know the second one. Iage is the first word. Baba is the second word. Recognize Baba? Yeah. Iage, Baba. That's it. Isn't that hard? Even some of y'all can sing that. You ready? But I'll sing the tune. And basically what it's saying, basically, hear us, Lord, hear us. Hear us, Father, hear us. That's what we're playing. It goes like this. It goes, Iage, Iage Baba, 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 Iage, Iage Baba. And that's what they sing. Now, what's neat is when you get the harmony going with the guys and then the women come in and then they start doing this and then they get... Anyway, it's fun. So that's hear us, Lord, hear us. Basically when we pray or when we are worshiping you. Iage, Iage Baba. Now, that's good that I sang this because do you know, we record our worship services and put them on YouTube and our website. And do you know who sent in a message the other day? One of my friends in Tanzania who was Maasai, he said, I saw your message and I listened to it. He said, that was very good. So I sang that song for him today, so when he sees this one, he's going to go, ah, they're learning Maasai. Look at that. So anyway, okay, that was it. That was special music. There you go. Y'all want to try it? Yeah. All right, let's try it. There's Iage, Iage Baba, Iage, Iage Baba, Iage. And they sing every syllable. I mean, Swahili or Maasai, they used to do that. All right, so there you go. We're going to sing it just a couple times. Iage, Iage Baba, Iage, Iage Baba, Iage, Iage Baba, Iage, Iage Baba, Iage. Iyage Baba, Iyage, Iyage Baba. Y'all are becoming multicultural. Dang, that's good. All right. We're talking about future things. We're talking about Ezekiel today. And you say, what? Ezekiel, remember that guy? No, y'all don't remember him. Ezekiel. He's a prophet in the Old Testament. Remember in the mid-70s, there was an emphasis on prophecy and the last things and a lot of teaching on Revelation. I don't know, was that like it was here? I know at the church I was going to, that seemed to be a focus, especially during that time frame. And the car that I was driving by that time, and I inherited, kind of, my parents' old 1964 Chevrolet Impala. That's the car I had. 289, V8 in it. And I mean, I wish I still had that car. And four-door, it was four-door, yes sir, you better believe it, four-door. Green. Light green with a dark green interior. And so, that was the car I was driving in 73, 74, and 75, 76, until I got my Toyota Celica. Anyway, driving that car, and so big emphasis there on last things. So I found an orange sticker I put on the front of my glove box, and it said, "Warning, in case of rapture, the driver will disappear." I have that right there on the glove box. And I remember one day I gave the pastor of our church a ride somewhere. I don't know how it was. And we were talking, and he all of a sudden he looked down and he read that and he goes, "Ooh." He said, "That'll get people to think about some things." I said, "Yes, sir. That's exactly why I put it on there." So anyway, so Ezekiel, you probably know him from the song "Ezekiel Saw the Wheel" way up in the middle of the air, spiritual song, and we're not going to talk about that. Okay, that's for another day and another time. But we're talking about Ezekiel. Now, Ezekiel was a refugee. When the nation of Israel was taken captive by Babylon, Ezekiel was taken in the second wave. Basically, he was taken in, I think, about I'll get my numbers right here now, 597 BC. He was taken, he was about 26 years of age. And he was taken with the other refugees to Babylon. Now, when you're taken as a refugee, basically, one of three things can happen to you. First, you're taken, you become a slave. Second, you become basically a worker. And third, you can live in a settlement somewhere and just kind of take care of the land and make your own living. And so Ezekiel was able to be put into the third group where he lived in a settlement. And then after about 5 years, age of 31, God basically called him into the office as a prophet to prophesy to the people who were taken refugee from Israel to Babylon. And so he had met. Now, Ezekiel was a guy, he was pretty straightforward. He was an outward-going person, but very retrospective. He was kind of some people would say he was like a mystic. And now that's not palm reading or things like that. He just, when God would speak through visions and dreams. And so he would have some of these visions and dreams, and he just didn't dismiss them and say, "Oh man, that was a bad piece of meat I had last night." No. He knew it was from God. And so basically his message to Israel at that time in captivity as refugees is, one, sin. Your sin has put you here. The way you have sinned, the way you have forgotten God, that's why you're here. Two, we're going to be here for 70 years. That's how long we're going to be. Even though there were other people prophesying and saying, "Oh, it's okay, we're going to be here maybe another 2-3 years, then we're going back home." No, he said 70 years is it, period. But then finally his third point that he came with, he said basically that Israel will be restored. there is a future restoration. We're going to go to chapter 37 of Ezekiel. 37, 38, and 39. And you say, oh my. 3 chapters. Yep, 3 chapters. Okay? All right. So here's the timeline, basically, that we're looking at. When Ezekiel's talking about, to put it in perspective. In the end times, the last things. The next thing I think that is on the prophetic calendar is the church being taken up into heaven. People will call that the rapture. Now, there is no word rapture in the Bible. It's basically a definition like a snatching up, a snatching away, a taking up. It's kind of like I've watched some of y'all, when you eat, you snatch that stuff off the plate and eat it. I've seen that. And that's what it is. It's a snatching up of the church being taken away. Now, some people think that immediately the tribulation is going to start after that moment in time. But there will be some kind of